Well, I find myself in quite an awkward situation. I don't really talk about my life that much. Not really, because each one of us has our own problems going on, and the whole point about Sun and Moon is to create sort of some kind of family community as best as possible under an internet and so forth, and try and talk to people. But yeah, I've been struggling for a bit now. And months ago my boiler went, but I wasn't so worried at that point because we had such a mild winter that, yeah, a few days it was a little bit nippy, but it wasn't too bad, and the water was there. And then it came to September and I started looking up grants and things like that for a boiler, and wow, I was just absolutely shocked at what happened. It took months, and in that time the water packed up. So we ended up not having any water, so me and Ellie have to go and scrounge showers and things off people right now. It's been quite horrible, but it's not something I talk about. Mickey knows, Amy knows. I've told a couple of other people, but really they're the two people I talk to about it. And even getting a grant, you know, the council, to get your council tax, they grade your house. They grade it A, B, C, D, E, or whatever. Maybe you're an F, or maybe you're an A, I don't know. But obviously the more higher, so if you're an A, you must have underground heating. You know, there's so many things in your house to make it warm and efficient. You're an A. But if you're an F, maybe you don't have a boiler, etc., etc., like that. But for some reason, I mean, it took me weeks and weeks to sort this out, to understand what it even meant. Because they'll just say, oh, you can't because you're a D. Oh, you can't because you're a D. Or they might not have even explained that. Oh, you can't do it because your house doesn't fall into whatever it is. And then you try someone else and then they say a D. Now a couple of weeks has gone on, and then you start looking into it and finding out that if you're banded a D right now, you don't get any grants. You have to be an E. And my house was banded as quite a good D. You know, like, it wasn't near the E, it was much more near the C. I just can't believe it, because the boiler's never worked properly since I've been here. Okay, I've been here a few years now, and it is quite old, but it's never worked properly. It's probably a brand new boiler with the parts it's had. And, you know, I got someone to come and reband the house about a month and a half ago, hoping that maybe because I didn't have a boiler, and he said, oh, well, you've got a boiler, you're deemed that you can mend it. I said, it's broken and it's about 25 years old. Well, it doesn't matter. So that's crazy, isn't it? And then he noticed, though, that downstairs is brick, but upstairs isn't. It's wooden, and the width of the windows is actually the width of what we're in. So basically we're in a shed, because what's a window? 1 inch, 2 inch, 1.5 inches? And that's the insulation, but there isn't any. It's plasterboard and the outside of the house. So he noted, because obviously the bedrooms, it's a chalet style house, so the windows come out the roof. So that part of the roof that comes out under, so the roof, it has a peak, but that's only like quarter of the roof, because 3/4 of these windows that come out. And so, you know, the asbestos, whatever it is, that stuff they put on sheds, that's what's on my roof. So again, it'll be about 1 inch or 2, and then it'll be the outside with that on it. No brick, no proper insulation, no nothing. So he said, you're living in an attic, and it comes onto something else. He managed to get 14 points off this thing, but we were still like 1 or 2 points away from being an E, even though I live in a shed and all these houses around me are the same. They were built cheaply, Wimpy built them, and, you know, we live in a shed. So it took me weeks and weeks to find that out. And then if you try other grants, you're almost there, but you're not dying, or you haven't got a deadly disease. Oh, well, you can't have it then, because, well, the criteria is a school-age child, you are 65 or older, or you've got a massive illness. Well, I'm not 65. I don't have a child school age living here, and I'm not ill that I know of. So, sorry, you can't have a boiler. Even though that criteria meets, that criteria meets, that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Oh, but that one doesn't, so you can't get a boiler. So for months, I've been trying to do grants. In fact, I actually thought that I'd sorted it out. And then these people, they give your name forward, so you can't get to the next stage if they don't put your name forward. And I said, well, it's been making me feel really depressed. I mean, not that I talk about it, but it has. And she put me forward. But then when those people rang up on Monday, I passed, yes, yeah. Oh, but you haven't got some deadly disease, so you don't qualify. So on Monday I found out about that. But in the meantime, I'd booked this appointment with British Gas, or so I thought, until today, when I'm travelling somewhere where I can't really do what I did, and I then have to try and do it when I can't. So I'm like really panicking inside, because they told me that an emergency had come up and they were cancelling my appointment. But 4 weeks ago, I was the emergency appointment. And they said to me that an engineer would come and it wouldn't cost me anything. Right? Well, they weren't booking in an appointment to take money from me. They said, well, they'll try and get it going on the day, and if they can't, they can't. But it's a lifeline when you can't. I just can't afford a boiler right now. And it's quite dire, really. It sounds awful, but I'm just making this video because this bit of video is my last conversation of the day, but I'd already had 2 or 3 before. I've obviously put in a complaint, but I just cannot believe the way that I've been treated. And even when the guy talks about, well, we emailed you, this is one of the emails, right? And I mention it again in the video. So this is them cancelling my policy. See, so it just says time for, and that's it. So that is the bit in there. Where does it tell you that they are cancelling my agreement? So unfortunately, it is a little bit part of today's conversation, but where in there do you see them telling me why they've cancelled? And it took me a year. And you're going to hear this guy, and he says to me, you talk to me properly or I'm going to end the conversation. He says he's got everything in front of him, but he didn't. And then he says, well, today everything is no. But this morning it was, oh, there's another emergency. I said, when are you rebooking my appointment? Even though that's really bad. She said, we haven't got an appointment. That was it for me, because they're already letting me down. I said, I am the emergency. We haven't got any water or heating. You know, I thought they had a duty of care, but they do not have a duty of care. So it's a bit dire for me right now, but I'm just putting out a bit of my experience in this world that doesn't work. And when you're told, oh, we informed you, but what did they inform me? We're cancelling your policy. And I couldn't understand why, because first of all you think, well, was it a direct debit? Did I do something wrong? What's going on? Why have you done this? So where do they let me know? Because the guy mentions December, okay, that we cancelled the policy. There's your emails. But where do you see in here that the reason is because they don't make my boiler anymore? Because I'd been a customer, you know, a boiler care, in their policy for boiler care for years before this. And that's what I got. So it set me off asking the question. And I think a boiler guy did come out just as this is happening. And he just stormed off. And then he told me that day that he'd had 2 bereavements. They should have been working, should he? But they blamed me for that. And then later on, they did give me a small money. But that's not really what I wanted. I just wanted my policy back. You know, at the time, that's what I was paying for. But anyway, and obviously they feel they've done, you know, something. Because that one, they give me a refund of £75. And then they give me whatever it is in the next letter. I can't even remember whether they gave it or not. Or whether this one superseded it or something. Now, because it's 2021 and so much has happened since then. But we're now going to play the rest of the video. And I'm sorry about my plight, but this is what you have to go through. And I feel so let down by British Gas. Really, I do. Really, I do.
Is it about an existing complaint? If it's about an existing complaint, say yes. Otherwise, say no.
Yes.
Okay. If your complaint is regarding your gas or electricity account, say yes. Otherwise, say no.
No.
For security, please say or key in your date of birth.
Thank you so much for calling British Gas. You are speaking to Shafika.
Hi there.
Am I speaking to Mrs. Kay Petit?
Yeah,
Thank you. May you please provide me with your first name?
Karen.
Thank you. And you're calling in regards to an existing complaint.
Yeah, I just don't understand a part of what's happened to me today. What it was is, it was 4 weeks ago, I rang up British Gas in desperation because I can't afford a new boiler. My boiler has broken. We have no heating or hot water. The boiler, I told this person 4 weeks ago that the boiler had been gone for a while, that, you know, September the water went on it, and at that point I started to try and sort out getting another boiler or whatever. And
Okay.
so basically, because I didn't have the money, she went off and spoke to the manager or someone and came back and said it's like a duty of care because I'm your customer, that they were sending a boiler person out. And just the moment I turn up somewhere this morning where I have no time to sort it out, this person rings me up and tells me that my appointment for tomorrow has been cancelled. And I'm sorry, I'm just really upset about this whole thing. I just don't understand, because I've heard so many excuses today. First of all, it was, well, there's someone else in need. I said, I'm in need. I'm at my end here. I haven't had heating for months. I haven't had water for months. I'm at my end myself. I'm an emergency. And what it was is that I have put in a complaint, but what I don't understand is that this person went off and asked somebody, because obviously I said I used to have boiler cover with you, but you cancelled that, and that was a great experience by British Gas, and I haven't really liked British Gas since then, the way that I got treated. And beforehand I would say, oh, British Gas, I would have promoted you, but I can't anymore because of the things you keep doing to me. And then today, to have my appointment for tomorrow cancelled, and then after about 2 or 3 phone calls, which I was doing where I was, which I shouldn't have been doing, but I was still doing it, and I was really upset, I get told it's because I don't have boiler cover, when that's not why this appointment was made. It was made because it was a duty of care call. And I've heard every excuse you can have today. Oh, there's someone else is an emergency. Oh, you don't have a policy and all that. And I just cannot believe that British Gas would do this.
I understand, and my apologies. So I've checked your account. I do see that they won't be able to book the appointment for you because you do not have a services account with us. And I do fully understand where you're saying that you do not have any heating.
Thanks. So you see that, because someone told me today, oh, well, if we sent someone, you'd have to pay for it and all this. And it was totally different to what was organised that day. I was desperate. And I was desperate 4 weeks ago. It's 4 weeks on, and now it's been cancelled.
Yes, but then you had to pay for the appointment.
That's not what was arranged that day, because I rang up saying I can't afford to get a boiler person out. Because if I did, I'd have had it mended months ago, wouldn't I? Because it's just too much money. And
on which date is that, guys? I don't see any appointment that was booked, and because actually I won't be able to see that. My apologies, because I'm not in the services department, so I'm not too sure how they booked the appointment for you. I can either transfer you through to that department, but I can advise you that it's not going to be a free appointment. You need to pay, or you need to get a private engineer to you.
That's not what was booked that day 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, I told her I can't afford to get a plumber. She went off somewhere and came back and she said, you won't have to pay for this call. That's what she told me.
Department?
Well, when I rang up, it was obviously the boiler department, because you can only book appointments there, can't you?
Exactly. but I won't be able to put you through to that department because you don't have boiler cover, and they're gonna tell you exactly the same information. I'm not too sure why somebody advised you that they booked an appointment for you and it's going to be with no charge, because there's no appointment that will be able to be booked from our side.
Well, it was because you
How
went
were
up.
how were you notified?
Sorry,
How were you notified that the appointment was cancelled?
because somebody rang me up today and told me just as I was appearing somewhere, and I was just devastated. I've been crying all morning. I think this is just terrible to be told one thing, and then the
Was
day
that from
before you're
British
coming
Gas?
to be told something else.
From British Gas.
Yes. I'm going to make a video about this and I'm going to put it out and I'm going to say how terrible British Gas has treated me. And if I can pay somehow my electricity off, I don't want to be a British Gas customer. I've been your customer for 30, 40 years. But how you've treated me this last few years has been disgraceful. The whole thing about my boiler cover, that was disgraceful. Took me a year to find out it was because my boiler, they didn't make my boiler anymore. Took me a whole year. I got blamed for things. It was all my fault. And at the end of it, you actually said you told the person who came here off, the engineer off. But I got blamed. And every time you ring up, someone says something different. I've never known of such a wacky company as British Gas. She told me I didn't have to pay for the appointment.
I'm so sorry about everything, but I can't guarantee that we will book the appointment for you.
Well, obviously you cancelled it today. I spent all day crying because I just can't believe that I'm treated this way. You treat me like you treat me like I'm a nothing, British Gas, doing it over my boiler, and you've done it now over this. You treat me as if I don't know what you treat me as, but you don't treat me as a human. I think you're disgraceful. Not you personally, I mean British Gas.
I understand, my apologies. So I'm not too sure I won't be able to confirm anything with you at this point in time.
Yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that a great place to be?
I'm sorry.
That's not what the woman told me when she rang up. She just said, oh, another emergency has come along and so your appointment's being, cancelled. And they couldn't even give me another date. And I said, but I am the emergency. This is what this is. This is an emergency appointment.
Yes, because you don't have any heating, but you don't have any boiler cover.
Yes, I know, but you cancelled that. I didn't. You cancelled that.
We need to cancel your service account.
You did, yeah. And that was an absolute hell. As I said, it took a year for you to tell me they didn't make my boiler anymore. But I just don't think it's good enough, all this by British Gas. I've cried my eyes out today. Do you know what? I actually think I just don't want to be here anymore. I'm just sick of all this. I'm sick of people telling me different things, lying to me, basically.
What I can do is I can call through to the department and find out from them what they can do due to that you're saying that your services was cancelled by us. But I won't be able to guarantee anything from our side, okay?
Well, obviously not. You can't. You just think you're God, basically. That's what it is. Because I've had so many excuses over this whole thing with my boiler cover. Yes, that was a couple of years ago now, but I didn't trust British Gas. I used to, but I don't anymore. You know, if I can pay my electricity off, I want to change provider. I don't want to be a British. Why would I want to be a British Gas customer with the things you've done to me?
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Oh, I definitely do. I definitely have put in a complaint about it, but it's not good enough. None of this. You've made me feel totally depressed. I want managers to hear my calls. It just made me feel so depressed because you were like the lifeline, and I was like, what? Really? A plumber's, an engineer's coming? She said yes, and then she told me it was 4 weeks. Another 4 weeks.
Okay, let me call through to them one moment, okay? Thank you.
Okay. You can call me mad if you want, but I know what I just know things. Well, let's just say it isn't the way that they explain it. So, as we hear in that guy explaining that they emailed me, this is what I got. That's all I got. And then there's a little bit more. So, obviously, you can see here, because this is just old. They're just old emails. But look, complain. Oh, look, a few months before, complaint again. So, obviously, this is what your life's like if you're with British Gas. You're always complaining. And here's another one. Where does it say that, basically it's time to move on, and then it carries on? That this is the bit. Where does it say in either of these messages that they cannot support my boiler anymore? Where does it say it? So again, today I have to now listen to a man tell me it was all so different, and I was informed then about why I didn't have the cover. But where does it say on either of these that they've stopped making my boiler? Yep, they gave me £100, but it took me a year for them to do it, and a year to find out that what it was is they stopped my policy because they didn't do my boiler anymore. So if this guy says everything's down as notes on my file, why didn't someone seriously look at this and explain it to me? But they didn't. I had a horrible engineer, and I got blamed for that. And then I said that they reprimanded him in the end. That's what they told me. And I go without boiler cover, which I didn't cancel. And so where in there do you see that they're cancelling it because they don't make the boiler anymore? Do you see how lame they are? All of this. Anyway, let's continue.
Try and explain to her that you haven't got an active home care account, and the last active home care account you had expired and didn't get renewed in 2021, which was 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, I've had different stories today because somebody else said it was 2018, but I never cancelled it. You did.
No, we don't cancel policies.
Yes,
Sorry.
you did. Yes, you did. Look it up. Yes, you did.
Right. First of all, I've seen all the notes on the complaint. And
You paid me £100 for the inconvenience, which wasn't very much.
Okay.
But you cancelled it. It took me a year to find out what had gone on.
Okay. Before we go any further, I'm just going to advise you that if you don't change your attitude, okay, and don't raise your voice, and don't speak over me because all these notes are here, I will end the call. I would advise you that it's been 2 years since you've had an active account, and you've not called in at any point to say, right, to book a service, to see, you haven't had no correspondence from us, you haven't had anything, so I don't even know what the reason for your call is, and I'm not sure why she transferred you over to myself. You've got two options if your boiler's broken down, which is to either pay for a one-off repair, okay, or
to pay
for
what?
a repair and cover. Either pay for a one-off repair or a repair and cover, both chargeable.
What do you mean repair on cover?
Right, so repair and cover is £109 to repair the fault on your boiler, and then it is about £33 a month for the central heating cover. If you don't want to do that, the other option is just a one-off repair, which British Gas will come out to repair the boiler. No ongoing cover, okay, it's just a one-off, but that is based on time, how long it takes the engineer to repair the boiler. So if I just give you the price breakdown, for the first 30 minutes, it's £109. If the engineer is there for up to 2 hours, it's £249. Anything over that could go up to £439.
So how do I do the cover when you cancelled it with me? Because you obviously haven't looked up any notes about me, because you cancelled the cover.
Notes on there.
You cancelled the cover with me. It took me a year. Please, I am desperate, right? So that's what it is. And if I say you, I mean British Gas. I'm not doing it personally. You're probably a really nice man, but I'm in a desperate situation, which I said 4 weeks ago. I rang in and I said that I couldn't afford to get a plumber out, and that my boiler had been gone for months. We've had no hot water for months and no heating for months. The heating's been gone for longer. It went about February, and I said that, you know, obviously you cancelled the policy with me. I never cancelled it. I honestly, for me, I've been treated extremely badly by British Gas, because it started off, an engineer came, and then, I don't know what happened that day, but he just stormed out. And what it was is, I got phone call, you know, when I rang up about it, they were saying, oh, it was you. And at the end of it, they told me they'd reprimanded the engineer, and it took a year of being mistreated by British Gas. You gave me £100 compensation, but it wasn't enough, because you took my cover away. You said that you don't make my boiler anymore. That was the answer. So I wonder how it all fits in with what you've just said, because you say they don't do my boiler anymore. So how would you... What it is I was just... When I rang in, the woman told me that an engineer would come, that I wouldn't have to pay for it, and that if he didn't get it going, he didn't get it going. It would be a call to see if he could just get it going. And it would be free, because she went off and she asked someone, and I've waited 4 weeks for that. And today, when I was just going somewhere where I couldn't really do anything, I get this phone call. I was devastated. I want the managers to listen to my phone calls, because you've put me through so much stress today. You know, the day before you're supposed to come. I'm not blaming you personally. It's nothing personal to you. But it's totally affected my life. You know, you threatened me coming on. I'm desperate. Why? If I had the money, don't you think I would have paid for it? But I never cancelled. The reason the lady came through, or why she said she was going to talk to you, was I never cancelled my policy with you.
Well, the reason why you're saying it was cancelled, because you said that we can no longer fix your boiler.
Yeah, well, that's totally different to what you've just said to me. Do you see what I mean? Everybody says something else to me all the time. It's like madness.
Give me that information. I wasn't aware of all this information, so I'm appreciating the more information you give me, the more I can look into it. So yes, you're correct. If we can't look after your boiler, okay, then yes, there's no point you paying British Gas to cover your boiler. If we can't repair it, you're wasting your money. So then the £100 cheque was issued to you. That was on the 26th of July in 2021, and the contract was cancelled.
But I didn't get a choice in any of that. I never cancelled the policy. I never wanted it cancelled.
No.
I've been a British Gas customer for maybe 20, 30, 40 years, however long I've been, like, you know, in the 90s I became a British Gas customer. I was a British customer in Inkpen. Wherever I moved, I remained a British Gas customer. I've been a customer of yours for years. I even had my boiler cover with you, which you cancelled. So
right, okay, and the reason we cancelled again.
Yes, all right, whatever.
Did you wanna?
Because it's news to me that you. It's news to me you couldn't.
Please listen to me. Can you please listen to me? I'm trying to explain. So if we wouldn't have cancelled your policy, did you want to keep paying British Gas for something, for a service that we can't provide?
Yeah, but what you don't understand is it took me a year. It took me a year to find that out. In fact, they blamed me. I got blamed because this guy came and he stormed out. And at the end of the day, British Gas said that they were reprimanding him. So it wasn't me. He should never have been here. He was in bereavement. He should never have been allowed to come to my house. He'd lost a few people. But to be put in that, it took me a whole year to find out. And I didn't get a choice in any of it.
No, it's not a choice. At the end of the day, if we go to a customer's property and we say, sorry, we can't...
I know. The lady told me 4 weeks ago that the plumber would try to get the boiler going. If he couldn't, he couldn't. Because obviously for that reason. So why do I get told that information? Be left for another 4 weeks to be called to be told. Well, first of all, it was a different excuse this morning. So the woman told me something else. Then someone else told me something else. And then someone else told me something else.
Your complaint has gone to the complaints team, okay? So, it's gone to the complaints team, okay? My job is to obviously answer your inquiry, and I have done so. So, when the complaint handler gets in touch with you, and then they will investigate, they will look into everything thoroughly for you with a lot of detail, everything you're saying and everything you've said.
Will it take another year?
The complaint handler will deal with it. No, it won't take another year because complaints don't take a year to resolve.
What it is my daughter told me to ring British Gas up because she said, well, you know, surely they have something with care and need, because obviously I can't afford a new boiler, and right now I'm so struck with money I can't even afford to get a plumber out. So I rang British Gas. I told them what it was, and she went off for a few minutes, and she came back and she said, "We're going to send an engineer out to you. It won't cost you anything. He'll see if he can get it going, and if he can't, they'll talk about other options."
Right.
And
So
now
then
that's
she'll
all been
get,
cancelled, and now I get, like the day before, I get a completely different answer. It's Christmas in a few days. I can't stay here. It's too cold.
she'll get feedback from her manager. Once the complaints handler listens to all the calls, checks all the notes, she should never advise you we're going to get someone out for free when you haven't got no cover with us. We don't do that. British Gas don't send engineers out to customers who haven't got home care. It costs British Gas a lot of money to send engineers out. So then she should never have advised you that we're going to get someone out for free, and if you can't fix it, you don't have to pay.
Yeah, I know, but you know, even
sorry,
with the
it doesn't
boiler
work like
cover, no one actually got in touch with me and said, "Well, we can only do this policy for." That you said you did, but I don't remember. I don't have letters about it. And suddenly,
Well,
and then I'm getting it,
now.
and then it's cancelled, and it takes me a year to find out. I mean, if I knew it was for that reason, do you think I'd have spent a year doing it? I just find this all
the
incredible.
cancellation- 2 emails for cancellation confirmation were sent out on the 20th of December 2020. Alright, so you had 2 emails. We advised you send you emails confirming that the agreement is being cancelled. You've had your check in 2021, obviously for the experience that you had with British Gas. Everything's on you. All the letters, all the emails we've sent you is dating back to 2014. Okay, so, you can't, I'm not implying anything, but, we've got everything on record, every letter and every email we've sent you for the last, 6, 7 years. So we have sent you and we've made you aware of what we have done and what we haven't done. Again, I'm going to please, if you listen to me, your complaint handler, this is something you need to take up with them. Unfortunately, I do apologise, but I can't take this any further. I'm not the complaints team, all right? I can raise a complaint, but my colleague's already done that for you. So any issue, any investigation, any resolution for you, whatever they're going to do is a complaints team and they get in touch with you. So the only options I've offered you, that's all I could do, is a repair and cover or a one-off repair.
It's like being a blind animal listening to all them. It's not every excuse, everything that's been said to me with the policy being cancelled, and also this. You have good faith in British Gas that when they tell you an engineer's coming and all that, I believe you. I even had a text message saying the engine. She even sent me a text and everything saying when he was coming. I booked it for 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock tomorrow, but she said you've got to wait 4 weeks. But the whole thing is just diabolical. I'm like an animal. You don't care about me at all.
Again, like I said, I'm very sorry you've experienced going through all this again, and you are correct that my colleague should never advise you of that. So, like I said again, it's a complaint handler who will obviously deal with this for you. That's what they're there for. That's why customers. If
They knew when they made the appointment with the boiler that I had no money.
Right, and that's what, when the lady transferred me over just now, I said, well, if the customer hasn't got no money, whatever the circumstances are, unfortunately, then I won't be able to help, because the only things I can offer is what I've offered you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, British Gas,
I'm
looking after your world, yeah. What it is British Gas wanting your money. That's what you should write on there. It doesn't look after your world. I don't. But a few years ago, I respected British Gas, but I don't anymore. I could never ever promote you for what you've put me through. Not you, but British Gas. This whole procedure. Every time you ring up and you speak to someone, they say something else and something else, and something else and something else and something else, and then you find out it wasn't that. It was something else. I don't like this anymore.
Right, but when the complaints handler contacts you, again, like I said, that's who you need to be dealing with this, the way obviously you've been treated. And I'm sure they will obviously investigate and look into this for you. That's their job, and they will deal with it for you.
Yeah, 8 weeks.
I'm sorry, like I said, I can only apologise. I have done so, and unfortunately, apart from doing what I've offered, there's nothing more I could do. I'm very sorry. I wish I could, but I can't. So, like I said, the complaints team will look into this for you. As soon as the complaint is picked up, the handler, he or she, will give you a call.
What, I've got to explain it all again? Well, I feel totally depressed now.
Well, that's the person you need to explain it to, because, like I said, that's your complaint has been acknowledged, and the complaint handler is the person you need to speak to. in regards to what's happened. So, again, like I said, the notes are in the complaint, what my colleague raised in regards to what the reason for the complaint
How
is.
can all these
So I'm
things
sure the
keep
complaint-
happening to me? You know, like in good faith. You know, I've waited 4 weeks to be told, oh, well, they're not coming. And this morning it was nothing to do with whether I had a policy or not. The person that rang me said, well, we've got an emergency which comes before you. That's what I got told. And I said, well, I am an emergency. It's really rank living without hot water. Rank. Well, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do anymore.
I can agree with you, but like I said, unfortunately, I'm sorry. If I could do anything for you, I would, but unfortunately, I can't. I can't say to you that I'm going to get an engineer out to you for free, and if you can't repair it, it's not a problem, but we'll still send someone out. I can't do that because British Gas doesn't do that, sorry.
How can I be put in that position, though, where I'm told this stuff? You know, because how did I get an appointment? You know, I told the truth. I told what was happening. I was really upset when I spoke to her. I was probably in tears when I spoke to her then. Because it's just, there doesn't seem any way to get any help.
The agent who booked the appointment, like I said, I'm sure she will be spoken to when the complaints team look into it and look at the name of.
Yeah, but she went off and asked the manager.
What conversation she had. Sorry?
She went off and asked someone else. She didn't just say, oh, I'm booking you in and it's free. She didn't take that on herself. She went and asked someone.
Right, okay. Well, again, if that's the case, then like I said, I'm sure they'll listen to the call and they'll look into the.
Yeah, but you've cancelled my appointment. Put me. I'm not saying you, because you think, oh God, there's this woman on the phone. But you, as British Gas, have put me through this again. I'm absolutely devastated. I've been crying all morning. I just don't know what to do.
I just advised you a number of times, and I'll say it again. When the complaint handler calls you, like I said, I know you could stay on the phone with me for another half hour, an hour explaining this to me, but unfortunately, I cannot help you because the complaint handler will. You said you.
No one can help you.
This is the conversation you need to have with the complaint handler.
Well, I'm left without hot water and heating again. Or not even trying to come and just get it going. Right, well anyway, fine, whatever.
As soon as the complaint handler calls you, have a chat with them, I'm sure they'll be able to help.
Yeah, and they explain that can take up to 8 weeks.
No, it won't take, can take up, depending on the situation.
Well, we've got Christmas coming and New Year, haven't we? So that'll probably make it 6 weeks, 8 weeks, for that reason.
I don't know how busy the complaints team is, but like I said, someone will be in touch with you.
Right, okay.
I'll leave a little note as well.
Whatever, okay.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.